to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio engineer, Mr. Alan Ritchie Cunningham. And on my immediate left, the MTC should be Super Dave Handy. He generally takes a nap after work, and sometimes he simply doesn't wake up, so hopefully we'll see him sooner than later. And on my far right, my pal, Mr. Duke Forrest, and I will start with football this week. All I can say, the one Tom Brady is just an incredible person, and I'm very fortunate that I've been able to witness him in my lifetime.
Yep. This is Wall Street Journal, which usually has a pretty good sports story from yesterday. The geezer is still the GOAT.
Okay.
Mr. Brady. Yep, I'd love to hear what Max Kellerman has. Max has been writing him off for years. I wonder what Max is saying now.
Yeah.
You know, Brady, pretty scary.
And I heard the usual naysayers say, "Oh, his statistics weren't that good." Well, it's not all about statistics.
Well, how about 40 I say his statistics were.
I'm talking about the games this past weekend. No, he threw 40 touchdowns and 4,600 yards during the regular season. But to me, the real legit superstar is that guy that can make players around him better.
Yeah.
AKA Larry Bird was that way. As great as Wayne Gretzky was, Wayne Gretzky had that ability to make the guys around him better. In Tom Brady, you can see him. I wouldn't say get to the face, but he will verbally accost his teammates. He expects his mates to do their job, and if they're running wrong routes and stuff like that, he's not going to be shy to let them know about it. So, and I can't remember how many conference finals this will make. Like 17.
I think 14 out of, I think 2/3 of his 21 years, I think is 14.
Yeah.
Actually, I could probably dig that up for you.
Yeah. So,
Look who's there.
Better late than never.
yeah. So Super Dave just walked in, and I will ask Dave a question. David, were you taking a nap?
No, I actually put in a real day of work today.
Really?
We had to move the yard around and I helped line the cars up.
Okay.
So I was out in the yard till about 4:30.
Really?
Of course, I didn't get to work till noon, so don't.
So you're resting and you gotta get all the snow off, all the
You
cars.
gotta brush them off and park them. I don't brush them off anymore, but I do. When we get a busy day, I'll help move them around and then I'll help them line them back up after we plow.
Speaking of the day, I measured I got 5 inches of snow.
Yeah, we
Weather
had
people last night were talking, I heard him say, oh, maybe a few flakes, coating. I don't think I even heard an inch. Did anybody acknowledge that they screwed up pretty big
No.
time?
Dan Dowling on the 11 o'clock Channel 3 News said it trays up to 2 inches.
2 inches?
So when I saw the snow in the morning, now of course if you sneezed, all that snow would blow away. Unlike the snow, you had heart attack
But
snow
for the record,
last week.
yeah, the rule of thumb is 10 inches of snow will typically melt down to an inch of water. This would have probably taken 30 inches.
Yeah, it was fluffy.
Get an inch of water.
Now, I was talking to a lady who lives in Waterbury on Monday, and they had over 2 feet of snow.
Over 2 feet?
Over 2 feet in Waterbury. I think we got a lot more snow than what we were supposed to get Sunday. I think because we were only supposed to get a couple inches.
Was that heavy snow?
Yeah, but we ended up with Monday. Sunday we had, because I helped plow the yard Sunday, and geez, we had probably 4 or 5 inches.
I was thinking I measured 3, but I'm spacing out on that.
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that was more than forecast.
We've had, because if you look at the forecast on AccuWeather or anything for the last week or so, we weren't supposed to get anything. Nothing.
Or flurry, yeah.
And we may get another 2, 3, 4 inches tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah, it's in winter. It sounds like in our trend, which you noted a week ago. Sounds like the trend after a couple of seasonal days tomorrow and Friday.
It's going back
Sounds
again.
like pretty cold. I mean, typically highs in the teens to about 10 to the teens for another week. So yeah, winter's getting fairly serious.
It's January in Vermont. It's,
Yeah, 10 more days.
and you know what? This is actually good for things.
Oh, I mean, I hate
This is
bitter cold without a snow cover is the last thing you
Yeah.
want to get.
Yeah.
I think we have a call, am I correct? Richie, do we have a phone call? No call.
No
Okay.
phone call.
Okay.
But for the record, meteorological winter, the 3 coldest months, obviously December, Jan, Feb, is half over, but I think we're just now getting into
I think so
some
too.
serious winter.
And I think if you look at things, people don't come to Vermont for 40-degree winters. They
they come to
want the
ski.
cold, the snow, the ice fishing, the skiing. Hey, I've seen a bunch of snowmobiles go by the garage. Because, I've been cross-country skiing. I mean,
I got in some cross-country today and a lot of shoveling.
and I'll tell you what,
You cross-country ski?
I do, but it's not pretty.
Can I tell you something?
Cross-country hockey, I don't.
Let me tell you a story. I've always disrespected the sport because I never tried it. And I said, what
Walking,
a
if you can walk, you can cross-country
what an
ski.
easy-looking sport. So with a former lady friend, we went up to Williston, Catamount.
Catamount, that's
Okay.
a big ski center.
Right, so we went there, hooked up, and I was much lighter than I am now. So I figured this is going to be a breeze. I will go on record by saying I have never sweated
Oh, it's worse.
so much than I did cross-country skiing, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for the people that do it.
I think it's one of the best things. I think it's one of the best things you can do for your body.
Oh.
It's a great thing for your body.
I went, it was either last Saturday or the Saturday before, and my hips were burning after about a.
Where'd you do that?
You know what is absolutely a fantastic cross Nordic ski trail is Hardak. They groom the trails.
Yeah,
You
Hardak's
can go up in the woods now. It's just fantastic. It's
Hardak's
really
great.
good.
And also Champlain Country Club.
Do
which
they
is
allow
typical-
you to do
Absolutely.
that? They do.
I had communication with Mike Swim a month ago, and I was, hey, Mike, I'll pay my dues if you tell me what I owe you. And I said, as an aside, as I think about it, I assume it's cool to cross country. He said, absolutely. I think they have been out there
They
a
just don't
couple
want you on the
times.
greens,
Right,
Yeah.
and I think the greens are,
all roped
I
up.
think they're roped up. But,
Now, one
but yeah,
thing-
they're absolutely welcome. The folks at Enosburg told me a few years ago, they didn't want people skiing there in the winter. I haven't talked to them since.
What about snowshoeing? I have never done that.
Snowshoe-
Have you
another-
guys
it's a
done
great-
that?
My wife likes to do that. It's easier.
Yeah.
It's just like walking.
Yeah, if you can walk, yeah, it's a great thing to do. I mean,
And,
any exercise like that's great.
And I'll tell you what, I was outdoors all afternoon, and I have a very, very warm set of overalls that Carhartts, for guys that have to really work. And I got a really warm ski hat, and I'll tell you what, it was really nice being outdoors with the sunshine and the fresh air. And I'll tell you what, nobody's going to have to rock Daddy to go to sleep tonight. It's really nice to be outside and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful snow cover out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Vermont's looking like Vermont right now.
Yeah, it's great, and it's really these. I'm so happy. I heard JP got like 4 feet of snow today,
Yeah.
which doesn't surprise me.
Unfortunately for JP, boy, with the coronavirus, I mean, half their business from north of the border, none of which, or
Yep.
virtually none of which they're getting.
Good point.
Well, my man Corey told me today. Before a couple days ago, they had 30 trails open. Now they've got 76 out of 81,
Wow.
and the only ones that aren't open are because of the tram, because they don't want people on the tram.
Right. Boy, if you're a downhill skier without presumably a lot of people, it must be heaven, especially with nice powder snow.
Of course,
but yeah.
now that we've got
cross-country-
a new administration, I'm not going to throw too much out there, but Chicago today opened up all the restaurants.
Did they? Did
Yeah.
they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Now
and I-
that we've got a new administration, you won't even be hearing about COVID in about a month.
Yeah, and I'm not here to talk politics, but Governor Cuomo the other day said, maybe it's time we start opening businesses.
Yeah,
Complete
yeah.
reversal.
Huh.
Anyway, so Duke,
But
the
anyway.
football games this weekend, Green Bay's had a phenomenal year, and I
Yeah.
will admit, I had Aaron Rodgers buried and dead before the season.
Did you?
I
Did you
just,
really?
I really thought
Oh, no,
his game
he's
was.
still good.
Oh, he's great. He probably will win the MVP this
Although,
year.
for the record, Tampa Bay did kill them for what little that's worth in their regular season game.
Yeah, that doesn't mean
Yeah,
anything.
that was pretty early in the season.
Green Bay, three and a half
Yeah.
is the last
Three
line
and
I
a
saw for
half
Green Bay.
is Green Bay's giving to Tampa, and the Chiefs are giving the Bills 2.5 points.
I actually heard, was this loose talk? I heard this in a couple different places. Gee, with Mahomes maybe not playing, I think they should postpone the game. Sounded like some actually halfway serious talk. I'm going, what did they talk? Did you hear any-
Loose talk. Mahomes
Who's that?
took snaps today at practice.
Right, but somebody's injured, so you put,
Right.
where'd that come
Yeah,
from?
you
That's the
can't
most
do,
right,
well, that's the
insane
new
thing
world
I've
we
ever
live
heard.
in.
But
got
I-
nothing to do
I
with
heard different
right.
people talking about this.
Right, and even if he had COVID, tough luck.
Too
Next
bad.
thing you know.
So where
Right.
did that talk come from?
Yeah,
That's
he's
insane.
still in concussion protocol,
Protocol.
but I can guarantee you, being the #1 football player in the world,
He's playing.
he's playing. I mean, everybody loves to watch Pat Mahomes
Actually,
play.
his sub didn't turn in too bad
Chad,
job,
was
huh?
it Chad Henne?
Chad Henne.
Yep, yeah. And there's a guy, see, I like guys like that. He's been around for 11 years.
No, 35,
If he-
I think.
If he walked into the studio right now, we wouldn't have a clue who he is.
Right.
But he probably picks up a couple $1 million a year.
Yeah.
What a nice life holding a
Yeah.
16-ounce clipboard.
It's,
Yeah.
and you need a guy who's capable, just in case. Like the Giants when they had,
Jeff Hostetler.
Jeff Hostetler.
The Giants were unbelievable that year. They might have had one loss. Sims went down. We said, oh, man. And the Haas came in and actually won the Super Bowl.
I think that's what really hurt Miami is when Fitzpatrick went down. They couldn't use him because they probably would have played him from the first quarter.
Well, Miami screwed it all up from the get-go. They were playing really well with Fitzpatrick.
Should have just left him.
Never, ever. Your job for that season is do the best you can.
Right.
I know they want to look at Tua, and I hear nothing but bad things about Tua. But Fitzpatrick should have played,
Yeah.
and I think Miami would have went further. Very highly respected by his teammates, and there were a lot of mates that were not happy.
I agree. Did
Yeah.
seem crazy.
One of the classmates of Eli Manning retired today,
Phillip Rivers,
Phil Rivers.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So
Now, Hawk, I've got a question for
yes,
you.
he is a Hall of Famer.
Yes, no doubt about it.
Okay.
He's actually got better stats than Eli.
Yeah,
Is that right? No doubt about it?
yeah, yeah,
He's the 5th all-time passer
Yeah.
in yards.
Even without a Super Bowl?
yeah.
If you were the Giants, you go back 20 years ago or 19 years ago, and you got the choice of either getting Eli Manning or getting Phil Rivers and 2 first-round draft picks, who would you take?
Yeah,
Boy, Phillip Rivers, 2 draft picks.
and that's
And 2 number-1 draft picks.
yeah. You're painting me in the corner because I just absolutely love Eli Manning as a person, but B, Phillip Rivers is a good Christian fella.
And,
that is just a very, very personable person.
Good
I think he's
guy.
got 9 kids, and again, really,
Is that
really,
right? Nine kids?
I think he's got 9.
he's a straight arrow.
And do you know what he's doing this fall? He's got a head coaching gig at like St. Mary's School in Alabama.
All
Where
right.
his kids go to school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So just a great guy. Now, I've told you the story before. The first overall pick in the 2004 draft was Eli Manning by the Chargers from Ole Miss. And the general manager of the Giants was Ernie
Accorsi.
got involved. We want Eli. And that's when they consummated the trade. They said, who do you want us to pick for a quarterback for you? The Chargers said, we'll take Phillip Rivers, which they did. and also the first round draft picks, like you mentioned, in order to get him. I'm trying to remember, one of them was Sean Merriman, linebacker,
Yep.
who had a great, very short career.
But he was really good when he played.
Great, but his knees blew out. Nate Keating, the kicker, had maybe a 10-year career, and there was one other body. Now, but the story of the Giants, though, if that trade never would have happened, or Corsi went on record saying we would not have picked Philip
He
Rivers,
said they would have picked Roethlisberger.
Big Ben,
Oh, really?
which we talked about
Interesting.
last week, which we learned he played for Miami of Ohio.
And
So-
he, I guess, is not done.
Ben? No.
You
But I'll
didn't
tell
think
you
him-
what,
I
though,
didn't
David,
think- I didn't buy he was gonna get.
Philip Rivers had a really good year.
Yeah, he did.
With the Colts. And if there's one team in the NFL that needs a quarterback to get them in the Super Bowl, the Colts are a very, very good team. They might have the best offensive line in football, and their defense is in top 5. They need a quarterback. Now, their head coach is Frank Reich, who used to,
Out of Maryland, QB at Maryland, I think.
is that?
Well,
Frank
he
Reich?
also was the quarterback for the Opryland Miracle against the Tennessee Titans.
That was
when,
him at quarterback?
when Buffalo was losing 35-3 at halftime, and they ended up winning the game.
Yeah, he's a Terrapin.
Yeah. Now, I think Frank Reich worked on the Eagles staff when Carson Wentz
Yes.
first couple years. So they get along fine. So a lot of rumors is Wentz to the Colts.
To the Colts.
So-
That's what got Peterson fired, though.
Oh, it was either the coach or the quarterback.
What I think what happened with Peterson obviously was he said, "Look, I'm sick of taking orders from you guys. I didn't really want to tank, and I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz." And I'm sure the brass of the Eagles said, "Well, you can either have Carson Wentz or you can leave." And I think he said, "Well, I'm going to go with Hurts," and then they said, "Well, you're fired," because they still owe. They got 120 million reasons to like
Yeah.
Wentz.
All
Yeah.
right.
So I don't think Wentz is going anywhere.
Yeah, Peterson
Really?
will take the year off, but I think he'll be hired next year. I think he can find another job.
Peterson's a pretty good coach.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, he did win a Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Hey, they've beaten the Giants like a rented mule.
yeah, yeah. I just think there's going to be a quarterback carousel this spring. It's just going to be unbelievable. Now, of course, we've all been assuming that Jimmy G would naturally fit in Boston. Now, Mac Jones, on the heels of his great playoffs, and of course, we've all thought Kyle Pitts at the 15th spot from Florida, great tight end, would end up with New England. Well, I'm seeing a lot of mocks now that
Mac Jones.
Mac
on the
Jones will
Patriots.
end up with the Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm still a strong believer.
And Belichick, he and Nick Saban are good buddies. I'm sure if Belichick's thinking of Jones, he's all over his buddy Nick
Hey,
Saban about him.
if you're safe picking any Alabama product, they have at any
much.
given time 20 players that'll be in the NFL.
No.
And I don't think I'm exaggerating, am I?
No, they're
And they got probably 10 of them are first round picks.
Duke.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, Kyle Pitts out of Florida has all been earmarked going to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Just a great tight end. So my question to you, sir, is this. In last year's draft, the Patriots took 2 tight ends in the 3rd round, Devin Asai out of UCLA and Dalton Keene out of Virginia Tech, pick 91 and pick 101. They barely saw the field this year.
The first guy, I think, finally caught maybe even a touchdown pass in like the last game or something. But
And
yeah, did nothing.
For my readings, they basically were redshirted.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, are any of those 2 guys capable of stepping up where they don't have to take Pitts at the 15th overall pick?
Good question. I can't give you an honest answer. I
Yeah.
have no clue.
Is,
They certainly
uh,
did nothing this last
And
season.
of course, the Patriots need a number 1 wide receiver, just like the
The Giants.
Giants.
They
And I'm
never,
seeing,
never seemed to even go after.
Jason Waddle being mocked to the
Yeah.
Patriots at the 15th spot.
What about, is it the tight end for the Eagles, a free agent, Kelsey?
Not Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz.
Hurts.
Yeah.
Kelsey's with Kansas City, right?
Yeah, best tight end in football.
Right, but Hurts is really good too.
I think he's had a great career with the
I
Eagles.
wouldn't mind if he went to the Giants.
Yeah,
Of course,
I just think Ingram will be there for $6 million for next year. And again, on my deathbed, my final words isn't going to be to my wife, I love you. It's going to be hell in the hell that Evan Ingram become a all-pro player.
that is a joke.
I mean, nothing surprises me anymore. When that came out 2 weeks ago, I said, what?
The guys that should have been an all-pro is Leonard Williams. Mm-hmm. He played fantastic.
Yeah, and of course, the big issue is the salary cap this year is $198 million. It's been suggested it'll go down to 175, but now I'm reading realistically 180, okay? Well, that's $18 million you don't have to spend on a football player, which could be the salary of Leonard Williams.
Of course, they already paid Leonard Williams this year 16 and a half.
Right,
So
what did they do to him? Did they
they franchised him.
franchise him and he got like 16 and a half, something?
So they're used to paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, and he earned his money, but also Delvin Tomlinson is also a free agent.
Yeah.
And you probably get him half the price, so it's.
Well, plus we got a quarterback that's getting peanuts. Until he gets his big bump.
Yeah. So David, I didn't jot it down, and once we're done football, I'll get into baseball. But remind me to ask you the question, and I might have asked you this years ago. Why does football, hockey, in the NBA free agency, the top tier guys are done in the 24 hours, second 24 hours, it's second tier guys, and why baseball is different? So remind me to ask you that question.
Boy,
So
we talk about that all the time,
Right,
too.
but save it.
Okay.
So, Deshaun Watson, will he be traded?
Big, a lot of talk, he's going to the Jets.
That's where I think, and I think I read
Really?
somewhere he would like to go to the Jets to go on the big stage.
So what was the story? What happened with him in the brass here? What was
Well,
the story?
Duke, you explain it to me. He wasn't involved with the hiring of the general manager. Now, in this new age of these.
And he was upset about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, absolutely. He wanted to be in talks. Who our new general manager is going to be. It's like LeBron.
Yeah.
When LeBron would get a new head coach, LeBron was there to give the okay.
Right, I'm
or-
not sure Deshaun's quite at LeBron's level. at
Right,
this
exactly.
point. Is
But-
that right? But that's what he was
Yeah,
upset about?
but yeah, yeah.
My old friend Linwood had a great expression for that. Dog wags tail, tail doesn't wag
Yeah.
dog.
But you look at the Jets, I mean, they have the second overall pick, okay? So
They could trade him to Houston for Deshaun.
Houston could get either Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, along with a couple other first-round picks. If they trade them to Miami, that has the third overall pick, and they have another pick in the first round. They could get Tua, along with a couple.
I never thought that Deshaun Watson was that kind of a guy. I guess Houston's really a mess, though, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm surprised too. He seemed like a great guy coming out of Clemson.
He was.
Yeah, and the problem with Houston, like the Eagles, they have a huge salary cap problem down
Yeah,
there.
Houston's a mess.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Philadelphia, looks like Josh McDaniel will be taking the helm for the Eagles.
It does look like that?
He has a meeting with the Eagles Sunday. Now, human nature. He was the hot guy for the last 5 years, while the Patriots came down to earth this year, okay? So he's a jag, just another guy. This could be his last opportunity to get a head coaching job. And I know Philadelphia's in complete disarray, and as I mentioned, bad salary cap situation, but Philadelphia's a major
Still
city.
big.
That's a big, it's not like Urban Meyer took Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville, you know?
Well, Jacksonville's in Florida too. Those guys, if you like football and you want to be in the South and you want to be in the nice weather,
David,
that's a different animal.
I say it every month on this show. If I'm a pro athlete, I'm looking Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. I would more than happy to play for the Jacksonville Jags versus the Cleveland Browns.
And speaking of Florida, back to Brady for a second. If Brady can win one more game, and tough game against Green Bay, but certainly, absolutely, they could win the game. Guess where he has his Super Bowl in his home stadium in Tampa. That's not bad. It's where the
Oh, I
Super
didn't know
Bowl
that.
is.
I didn't know where the
Super
Super Bowl
Bowl's in
was.
Tampa. He's
Okay.
one game away from
Okay.
being on his home turf for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and one thing going for the Bucks is Leonard Fournette is getting a lot of playing time. He's a big, tough, physical back. Where Roland Jones is their number one guy. He's been nicked up, but in the playoffs, you like the bulky guy.
So how do you guys see that, marquee game, Brady and Rodgers?
I got the Packers. It's going to be cold.
Um,
Florida teams don't do well. Name me the last time a Florida team beat a cold weather team on a cold day.
All right, Duke, I won't argue with David on that point. However, the quarterback of this Florida team played in Boston for about 18 years.
Right, but the rest of the guys didn't.
Yeah.
well,
So
I consider it a toss-up game.
I'll tell you what, Duke.
Nothing would
And
surprise
it's going to
me.
be cold there. It's going to be about 15 or 20 degrees.
Check
Again, Brady's
Do you have your
still,
tweet
Brady's
machine?
I
Ask
still a
him
key
what the
guy.
temperature of
Green Bay Sunday.
Green. So,
Because it's going to be about 15 here, isn't
as
it?
I mentioned,
That sounds,
we
that
start-
sounds about right here, maybe
as I
even
started
colder.
the show about Brady, about his leadership, etc. And statistically, he wasn't overwhelming during the game. I don't think Brady's going to have a subpar statistical game. I think he's going to. I'll tell you what. I would almost be willing to take the 3.5 points and bet on the Bucks.
Yeah.
But
Wow, 32.
Way warmer
32
than
with a
here.
little bit
Yeah, I
of
didn't think it was
snow.
supposed to be wicked cold there. That's nothing, but Brady's a key guy. That's nothing for Brady.
oh, wait, I forgot to tell you guys something. Okay, guess what I did Friday night? Go ahead and guess. Go ahead, guess.
Got outside the house, went
I
outside
actually,
the house.
You're right. I got outside the house, and I went down to Colchester to the Sunset Drive-In, and talking about a surreal moment.
God, so that's
Having
that's
my
still
vehicle
open?
there with my lovely wife, with a snowbank next to me, and just snow covered, and they plow a bunch of lanes out. So we went to the Hoagie Hut across the street, and I can't remember what Donna got, but I got a BLT. Donna won't make me BLTs. She doesn't like them, so she won't make
I
them.
love BLT.
And BLT,
Oh, Carrie does too.
yeah, BLT was about this big. So I'm eating there at 4 in the afternoon, and we crossed the road around 4:30. Got a half hour before the
Really?
movie, and of course, you know me, the guy with no phone. So I had time to kill. I made a couple phone calls, where I just sit in my seat and talk through the speaker. So first movie there were 2 new movies, Liam Neeson, called The Marksman. So I tell my stepdaughter I'm going to see. She goes, "You're going to see a Liam Neeson movie?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Isn't all his movies alike?"
They are.
And I go, "Yeah, kind of. I mean, every movie he does is, first, I'm going to find you,
Yeah.
then I'm going to kill you."
Taken comes to mind, Taken 2,
Right.
Taken 3.
And that's exactly what the movie was about. So the next movie was News of the World, Tom Hanks' new movie.
So these are legit new movies?
Yeah. And I asked Peter Handy, "Pete, what's going on? I mean, I appreciate you being open. I'm here because they're new movies. Like one screen had The Exorcist and a bunch of, they played Grease and,
Has he been open routinely?
all hasn't shut down. So I said, "Pete,
Really?
what's going on?" He goes, "Well, think
Unbelievable.
of it. There's no indoor movie theaters open."
No, I think there was one in Essex in the outlet malls there.
Yeah, the stadium seating. So there were over 50 cars.
And what'd you pay to get in?
This $12 a head.
$12 a head.
Yeah, and even though the
You
movies,
didn't sneak anybody in a truck
no,
like the old days.
Believe me, I did that in the old
I
days.
did that at St. Albans Drive-In.
Or
Did
yeah,
that at the
they
Windows
used to
Twin
run around the
Drive-In.
back behind where our garage is, but
Yeah.
even before we had the garage,
Yeah.
and they'd run in the back way that way.
I don't know what it is, but Don and I, we just absolutely love the drive-in. And I don't know if we're just nostalgic people, where harkens us back
drive-ins are
to our
great.
youth, because I can remember.
You must
like,
have to leave the car running though, because it's cold.
No, it It was gorgeous out. It was 35 degrees, no wind. I had my New York Giant
And you're
jacket
getting
on.
sound obviously on the radio, not on a speaker that you put in your window, right?
No, it's through stereo. It's good. Now,
The
dude,
speakers have been gone for a while.
Yeah,
right?
those, I had a bunch of those, we had some left over, but we threw most of them away.
so dude, you know me at the golf course whining about how hot it is. I can't wait till I'm after. So I'm telling my wife, I said, Donna, it says, I am loving the drive-in so much more at 35 versus 85 degrees. I turned the car in a couple times because the window had fogged up.
Yeah.
A great date night.
So he's been open, what, Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday, yep.
And he hasn't closed?
And the cool thing is, Duke, the movie starts at 5.
Right.
Okay, you're out of there before night. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Boy, that's unreal. That
Yep.
blows
Was the
my,
Tom
I
Hanks
didn't know
movie
that.
any good?
No, it wasn't. I'm very disappointed with that movie.
With, I'm sorry, which one?
News of the World.
Oh, really?
It's
a
back in the Western
yeah.
days, and the
his
town
first
folk
Western?
that don't have time to read or don't know how to read. I come before you today with the news of the world
Huh.
on the local scene, and he's got his in the nation and all that stuff. Yeah,
I can only assume the snack bar wasn't open, I assume.
indeed it was.
It was it really?
Yeah, it was the full fare.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yep. So we started
I
on
keep going by the Roxy, hoping I'll see some sign of life, and all I get is closed until further notice.
Yeah. But there's nothing better than just sitting in your vehicle.
And
I'll
the
tell you
Weldon,
what,
for that
Stretched
matter,
out.
our friend Mary Gamash Schumer at the Weldon has just seen, in 2021's the last thing on the marquee.
The downtown Burlington is like,
Ghost town.
it's like Mogadishu.
Okay.
Why?
I've
Not
never
bad,
heard
huh?
described like that, but
Oh, it's bad.
Well, as someone who wakes up to WVMD, you can be sure the Kurt Wright, I mean, every day he's just on the city council and stuff.
Well, you get that huge hole in the middle of the downtown Burlington, where the mall used to be, and Macy's, that's all locked up. And Church Street is all locked up. There's probably 1 in 5 or 6 businesses that are open on Church Street, if that. And I went down, you could park. Now, I've been going down to Burlington, hey, I went to UVM a million years ago.
Yeah.
In all of my life, you could never get a parking place in the middle of the day
Yeah.
on Main Street anywhere near Church Street. I could have parked, there were 10 or 20 parking places, I parked exactly right on the corner of Main Street and Church Street.
Really
And that's really sad, that's too bad. But-
interesting. Yeah, I always park at, I'm in Burlington once in a while. I usually go down to City Market area. Boy, my good memories, I'm surprised I didn't run into fish in my Vermont youth and stuff, but when I didn't have a meeting to cover from my radio days, my best memories are just going down there and having like probably a $7, $8 good meal at Rusty's Scuffer, which I'll forever lament is long gone. And then maybe jump into Nectar's for a Frosty or two and some music. I mean, it was such a treat because it seemed like most nights, not to mention days I was working.
I took my wife to the Rusty Scuffer on our first date.
Is that right, on your first day? I love
On our
this.
first
Rusty.
date, and we also went to the Chicken Bone.
Wow. And I can even remember the really nice guy. I didn't know him well, but friendly guy. I think Mike maybe was a bartender, and I think he had Bill Lee would blow in once in a while. I think he had some good sports connections. Great stuff on the wall, but the day the Rusty Scuffer closed was Burlington's never quite been the same for me.
No, and when you think about it, over the years, we've gone down a lot of times and eaten out, or even gone down for lunch and sit out on under the umbrellas, and it's really a mess now.
Although Ken's is, I'll get good word. Ken's is a place you can eat outside, kind of a pizza place. Not a bad. They've been there forever. Not a bad place.
And I think a lot of people like Loonings. I don't like French cuisine.
Haven't been there for
David,
years.
what's that restaurant? And I like to frequent the Spirit of Ethan Allen.
Okay,
For a tour of the lake. I just like
that's a
getting out
nice.
there.
That's fun.
That restaurant to the right of it, it's right on the lake.
Oh,
They don't give you the primo seats. If you're just there to have some beverages, No, you gotta go sit over there.
You're not talking not the seafood place. There's, of
No.
course, the seafood place is right down near the
But
water.
it just really stinks. I'll be glad when all this crap is over. But no, Burlington's in tough shape.
Yep.
Yeah,
no.
you're of course way harder. I still like to go down there once in a while. You're
Of course,
harder than me.
I'm boycotting.
Well, hey, I've been I've had to go down there because I've had kids in a Vermont Youth Orchestra. And so we would go down early and kill a couple hours because we'd have to drop him off 3 hours before the show. So you'd have a little bit of time to kill. So we'd go on Church Street or we go there's 3-4 nice little restaurants across the street from Battery Park. There was
Of course, Boves, of course, was in that area forever.
well, Boves was way down. No, Boves was on the other end.
But I mean, not hardly far from Battery Park.
No, I'm not thinking of Battery Park. I'm thinking City Hall Park.
Okay,
Excuse me.
confusing me.
City Hall Park.
Well, I'm not impressed with what they did at City Hall Park too. They took out a lot of trees. There's just a lot of concrete. They spent, I think, millions of dollars. I'm anything but impressed with what they
I'll
did
tell
at
you
City
one
Hall
thing about
Park.
this guy. He hates it when the tree gets removed.
Yeah, I don't like them taking down trees.
I'll give them I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for a year or two to see how it fills out because I read a lot why they had to take the trees out because the roots were all compacted.
That
and
was the
all
line, yeah.
And but I didn't really want them to cut down the trees in our park a few years ago. Remember when they did that?
Yeah.
And but now you got a nice place in the middle for people to congregate, and so trees grow back. One thing with trees is a lot of people think that if people were never around, that trees would be 5,000 years old, when in fact they get old, they get full of bugs, and they die. And we need to remember that trees need to be cleaned out, and there needs to be forest management.
Absolutely. That's why California gets.
Yes,
They
and
don't.
you know what I really hate, and I'm completely off subject, but when you're driving down the interstate, you know how all the trees are grown in between the medians and on the side, and they're encroaching on the road. You look in there this time of year, all the fallen trees and stuff. I can't believe they can't get some forestry students from UVM to go in there and clean that out, because it's better for the forest if it's not so much brush and crap in there.
As you guys know, Vermont has more forestry today than ever before. Like you look
Not
back,
since the Indians were here.
you look back
For a long
200 years
time,
ago,
anyway.
the primary animal in the state,
Sheep, oh yeah,
Sheep.
there's no forest for
right?
going.
Vermont was a huge sheep state.
Well,
Yeah,
in 1865, 95% of Vermont was pasture.
boy, 95%?
95%.
What year is this?
1865.
Okay.
No, end of the Civil War.
And now Vermont is about 70%
Yeah.
woods.
Yeah, 70, 75, something like that.
And all the woods you see, like I've got pictures of my house where Aldous Hill and all of St. Albans was all clear cut.
Huh.
No trees at all.
David, can I tell you something?
Wow.
If we were bachelors and girls were watching the show right now, I can guarantee you we would not get a date.
Of course not.
I had a date with a gal, and I used to be a purchasing manager, and it was a girl I dealt with quite a bit in the Albany area. So I asked her out for a date. What the hell? I took her out to a nice Italian restaurant. David, I went for about 45 minutes straight, talking about John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, and I'm eating my soup, and I'm saying, what a lucky girl to have. I am just giving her so much knowledge tonight. And I mean, I was just hitting it. And of course, Adams and Jefferson both died on July 4th, 50 years after 1776. But it was like, I was like red hot. And that was,
You want to know what?
that was
saw her
my only
again.
date with her.
Hey, with all these football games, you know what's been great? A great set of commercials are the commercials for Progressive Insurance, where they say you're acting like your parents. And you know what? When the guy sits down and he goes, you know, I'm thinking, boy, I do that right now.
So, well, I'm not sure how we straight off the ski slope here, but,
But it's all right.
so,
Well, speaking, just one other weather note is that, boy, poor California, they have enough problems. This should be rainy season, they should be, I just saw stats, the whole state, everybody's way below average. And last time I looked at a map, there was nothing out in the Pacific. It's just wicked dry. This is rainy season. They should be getting some rain finally now, and they're just not getting any.
This is an El Nino.
Yeah.
I think it's an El Nino year, but I'm not sure. But you know what? California gets droughts. That's the way it's been for thousands of years.
Yeah.
They,
Boy, they'd come out of it. I think the state was officially drought-free 3 years ago. Now they're back to the worst shape. Just about the whole state's worst shape in like 5 years right now.
I'll tell you what, you
But
don't
yeah,
have
it's a
enough.
dry place.
You don't have enough money to get me to move to California.
no.
Boy, yeah, wildfires and floods. Remind me never to go anywhere where there either one's an issue.
Or their politics.
Well, worse than that, there's the traffic. My brother-in-law lived in California. Lived in Huntington Beach, which is
Wow.
very nice, a block from the ocean. Very nice place. Took him an hour and a half each day to drive 20 miles to Compton.
Wow.
He was a big shot for Kruger Groceries.
Wow.
I think he was their CFO.
Is that right? Hour and a half each way?
Hour and a half each way. And you know what? The traffic is so bad there that basically you don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I had taken it upon myself one day. I went and played golf, and I drove down Pacific Coast Highway. And
Great highway.
it took me 3 hours to drive probably 35, 40 miles.
I mean, Route 1, give me my favorite highway in the world, and it's California Route 1 through like Big Sur.
Well, the trouble with California is people loved it too much.
It's a beautiful state.
There's just too many people there.
Yeah, but that said, you can believe me, you can get away on the, in my former life, last part of our honeymoon, we were in Death Valley. Furnace Creek Inn, great place. I love Death Valley. Done some great hiking there by myself. It's obviously a real big state. But,
Yeah,
but it's beautiful. I mean, the California coastline, Big Sur. If I won, what's Powerball up to? Like $1 billion or
Yeah.
something. If I had many millions of dollars to play with, the place I would go for would be just like a back road off Route 1 through Big Sur, and just give me a hill where I can look out over the Pacific.
It's
That's what I would
beautiful.
spend my millions on.
I remember spending some time with an old girlfriend a million years ago. Her brother and sister lived in, it's right near the
Carmel, Monterey,
no,
San Luis
San Luis
Obispo?
Obispo,
okay,
and it wasn't too far from the Hearst Castle,
right.
and we went to see that and Santa Barbara and all. It's California, the natural. There's a reason why everybody went there.
Yeah.
But they get too many people. It's like Florida now. Florida's got too many people. I don't. We're so damn lucky here. When it takes you, when you worry about catching a red light to go to work, and you get antsy about that, that's crazy.
David, it's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
I'll complain, I got stopped by a red light. So, just finish up football. The Indianapolis Combine's been canceled for this year.
No, really.
So, I know that's the great underwear, people running around in their underwear. And there's so much into analysis of the metrics and, but I always ask the question, well, that's great, but can they play football? And I've often wondered, what good is it getting a 40-yard dash on an offensive lineman when they never run 40 yards in their
You're
life?
absolutely right.
Right. At best, give them a 20-yard dash, and even more favorable would be a 10-yard dash. All right, I'm going to turn over quickly to golf. I know you didn't watch it because you don't get HBO.
My golf.
Did you watch part 2 of Tiger?
I did.
Yeah. All right. It was a good documentary. I wouldn't say it was great, and he's so well known. I didn't really learn anything other than the tongue lashing he got from the Masters. Who was the head of the Masters? back.
Was it Hootie
Hootie-
Johnson?
Hootie
Hootie,
Johnson,
probably.
yeah. He just addressed him during a press conference. Tiger wasn't there. And I'm watching, it's like, wow, man, it's not his place to talk about the morals.
I actually felt by the time that thing was over, I actually felt bad for Tiger Woods. And the weird thing to me was how all of these women that he had on a string all loved him and all felt like he was their one and only boyfriend.
Unreal.
The guy's got to have some sort of intimacy issues or something. Because how any man in their right mind could not, if I can't imagine leaving that Ellen Nordegren. She has to be one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, wholesome, spectacular, nice. You can't put her on a pedestal high enough. She's that gorgeous and she's that beautiful. How he could leave for all these barn cats and then tell them how much he loved them and how he needed them. Even that, your Uctral or whatever. her name-
Rachel,
Oh,
yeah.
boy,
Remember
did she
how we
look-
met? Remember how we met? Ellen, she was a nanny for Jasper
Yes.
Parnovich, whatever.
Wow,
And
yeah.
you know, she didn't want any part of that celebrity lifestyle. And, but that,
And I read today on the internet,
she's,
I didn't know that. She dates an NFL football
she just had a
player,
baby.
and she's got a
Oh,
one-year-old kid. I don't
Oh.
think she's married, but I think she has a one-year-old kid.
No, is that right?
I bet you she's got a
Some
little,
guy named Cameron, whether it's first or last name, was a name I didn't really
Jordan,
recognize.
some Jordan something. But anyway, but Tiger, what a miserable, rotten, awful life he had. And he does look like he's enjoying life more. He's a better person.
But you caught the news on Tiger in the last day or two.
Yeah.
More back surgery. Did you
Oh,
catch
he's
that?
getting another back surgery?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Pinched nerve.
Discectomy, whatever they call it.
those are what did him in was those Navy SEAL training things
I
and the
forgot
heavyweights.
about that.
Yeah, they showed a lot of that.
See, he was big into the Navy SEAls after his old man died,
Huh, all right.
and I don't know why. And
Did they suggest during that documentary that he was pondering retiring from golf and
Yeah.
becoming a full-time Navy SEAL?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't get HBO, I didn't see this, so nothing I can tell you.
but it was it's sad. And what I've learned from that, and then it's the same thing with the Bee Gees, same thing with the Beatles, same thing with Elvis. That celebrity lifestyle, who wants it?
Well, David, you must feel it every day when at your shop, people come in to look at a car and they say, "Excuse me, aren't you Super Dave from
I'm
Franklin
about
County's?"
as famous as I want to get. You know, those people, their lives are so awful, and they're chasing that brass ring. But boy, once you get it, Tiger, I feel bad for the guy.
And I've been on his case for the last dozen years,
I've
but
been
I
on
will
his
admit
case
I
for
was a
years.
bit more sympathetic,
that right?
and it was basically the way his father raised him.
Awful.
And his father, what an animal.
Yeah.
Tiger would be at the driving range as a little kid. His father would go into a camper and start doing time with
Really?
some lady. Of course, he's married and all that, and that was just common practice. And I don't know if they suggested that was Tiger saw that as a little kid, and perhaps that influenced him as he was.
And his mother was a tough nut too.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the rock bottom for him had to be when he got arrested for being on Ambien and Prozac or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
When he got he was a mess.
Yeah.
He really needed to get off the opiates. He was terrible.
No, one thing I forgot my notes. I did have it, but I forgot to say it. A week and a half ago, during the Kapalua, they would have on their scroll this date in golf history, 1962. Jack Nicklaus received his first paycheck at the LA Open. He finished in 50th place and took home a check of $33.33.
That probably didn't even pay for his trip out there.
No,
I don't
so,
think so. What was the golf tourney?
the
Alley?
LA Open.
Oh,
Now,
LA Open.
Right, if you remember, the LA Open turned into the Glenn Campbell
Yes.
LA Open. And I think Bob Hope had Pebble Beach.
Well, they were all celebrity. You had
No,
Andy
Bing-
Williams,
yeah.
San
No,
Diego.
Yep.
Bing Crosby had Pebble Beach.
Bing
Bob
Bing
Hope-
Crosby had
in fact,
Pebble Beach.
The tourney tomorrow is the old Bob Hope Desert Classic.
Okay.
Now Amex,
Yeah.
American Exchange.
So I do
But
have
the
a
old
question
Bob
for
Hope
you.
Desert Classic.
Cap-
Danny
look-
Thomas
Yep, in Memphis.
in Memphis.
Yep. Kapalua was the greats of the greats played there. I just assume that they just island hop and go to the next island to play the Sony Open. I'm looking at the scores. There were just a handful of legitimate star type names you
Oh, I
might
guess stars.
recognize,
I mean,
but there
plenty-
was no
plenty of good golfers.
there were no star power guys, and I'm just curious, why do they leave Hawaii after Kapalua?
Okay.
They.
I know your good friend Justin Thomas. He's playing in Abu Dhabi this week.
Yeah,
this weekend?
I think that's this way.
Less.
I think they just picked their spots. I think they.
He doesn't have a logo on his shirt, I bet, either.
I mean, they're
Right.
making a ton, if they're a good golfer, they're making a ton of money. I think in all sports, you hear tennis players go crazy, you know, there are too many tournaments. I'm not gonna play every week. I think they just pick their spots.
Yeah. David suggested that he doesn't believe Justin Thomas is wearing any Ralph Lauren outerwear anymore. They dropped him
they
like a
dropped
dirty
him.
pair of underwear
Yeah.
after his.
I'll tell you what, my take on that, and I've played a lot of sports, and I haven't played professional, don't get me wrong.
Really?
But, two things. Number one, they got a stupid microphone, and those guys, they can't burp, they can't do anything without a microphone. That's wrong.
Yeah. that's
Wait, hold it. Am I the
questionable.
number one guy that'll go running to Duke and say, that Justin Thomas, he ought to have his mouth washed out with soap?
Oh, he's got a mouth.
Because a couple years ago, he missed a shot, it was F this, and so maybe I didn't hear it. Then he went, half hour later, missed a putt. F, and I just don't like, and I know I
He's
look
prob-
like a.
he's
But
probably got plenty of
our
company.
big idol that everybody loved, nobody had a worse mouth on him than Tiger Woods. And I think you say stuff when you're golfing, you say stuff when you're competing. I'd like to have a microphone and listen to what these linemen call each other after a whole 60 minutes of pro football, or what these guys are calling each other after being under the boards and for 48 minutes of pro basketball, the names they're calling each other. It's just wrong.
David, I've long advocated the easiest sport to do would be basketball, to have a microphone right behind the glass, and you could hear everything. But I'm not so sure I would want
I
to
don't
hear
think
everything.
you want to do that.
No, and but this, and I understand you can't call people names and this and that, but you know what? You say a lot of stuff, and he didn't actually call anybody anything.
No.
He called himself that name.
Right, yeah.
And so we've gone a little too far with that. I think enough's enough.
Yeah. So
So
but
for the
this-
record, Kevin Na, nice guy. I saw his post-win
Th-
interview.
I watched it
Very
last night.
emotional. I mean, he's a pretty cool guy. but-
Yeah, he's a good.
And he's kind of a good second-tier player, but he says, hey, there's some courses I'm just not gonna compete, but I mean, he was pretty psyched, but an impressive win by Kevin Na.
He's a hell of a good putter.
Yeah,
He gets hot putting.
yeah.
But
But I think it's cool. I don't get hung up on not having all your, there are tons of good golfers, which we always talk about. I have no problem if it's not a star-studded
I don't
field.
think
It's almost
the.
more entertaining to me in a way.
I think that course too in Honolulu. I don't think it's the world's greatest golf course.
Yeah.
It looks like kind of just like a Mooney course.
Well, that's
Exactly.
one of the oldest. That tourney's been going on
it
for
pales
over.
in comparison to the previous week,
Oh,
for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
That's a real old tourney. It's been over, I think, 50 years for the Sony Open.
Duke, did I tell you, Dave told me in the parking lot after last week's show that he is in fact going to take us
Next
and
year,
treat
yeah,
us
we're
to
all
Kapalua.
invited.
Yeah, back to Kapalua.
So,
And,
all right,
and talking about just the field, Bob Hope what used to be the Bob Hope Desert Classic American Exchange. Tourney starting tomorrow. Again, not a star-studded field. I think John Rahm just withdrew. He looked like the early favorite. I think Brooks Koepka's getting his first start of the year, coming off a tough year, a lot of injuries and stuff, but not a star. I think that the week after that is Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, where you'll see a lot more names.
All right, I've been whining all fall, winter about baseball, so there's been some activity occurring. I just want to start with the Yankees. I feel bad for DJ LeMahieu. What a paltry amount of money.
$90 million.
So did the Yanks sign
$90 million for
Duke,
6 years.
6 years.
for 6 years?
Do the math, Duke. That's $15 million.
Wow.
Okay, I've been reading all winter. He was looking for 5 years, 110. Do
Wow.
the math on that. That's $22 million. I thought he was worth it because he's a decent
But again, he's running into
defender.
This,
He's a leadoff hitter. That there are very few good leadoff hitters because I'm looking at the Nationals and we picked up a couple big sluggers this winter and we're talking what player would best fit the Nationals right now. It was DJ LeMahieu. So $15 million. I wish they would have made an effort. I was shocked by that.
Well, I'll tell you
and
why
on the
they
same
did it.
hand, while I'm still breathing, shocked, absolutely shocked. A pitcher that's done absolutely nothing for the past 2 seasons. Corey Kluber, and I know there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract. He signs for $11 million by the Yankees. Don't get it. I had him down for $6 million, but go ahead.
Well,
David.
I'll tell you the 2 stories on LeMahieu. Number one is LeMahieu wanted $90 million. That was his minimum. And he should have got it. He's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
but
but-
for like 4 years or something?
Yeah, but the Yankees are really trying to stay under the salary cap
Yep.
this year. So by stretching it out to 6 years, it makes the cost per year $15 million instead of $20 million. That left them some money to go after Kluber. The reason why they got Kluber, supposedly, of course, Kluber's only pitched what, 8 innings in 2 years?
Yeah, I think he pitched 1 inning last year.
Uh,
Used to be the best pitcher in baseball.
supposedly, he's been working out with the Yankees director of fitness, whoever their head trainer is now, or their head medical guy, I don't know, whatever they call him. And this guy said that he's all better and he's all
Okay.
back.
Nice guy, too. I hope he...
And because he'd had some elbow issues, but last year, he broke his arm.
I don't remember.
I don't
what
believe
happened.
it was a joint issue. I believe it was a broken bone because the year before he'd had a bad shoulder. But supposedly he pitched, he had a tryout, and he looked really good. And so for $11 million, the Yankees figured they'll take a shot on him.
Mm-hmm.
And if it works out fine, I guess that means they're all done with Tanaka.
And like I said, there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract. And Tanaka, who I like, it looks like he's headed overseas back to Japan.
And
Really?
Jay Happ signed today with Minnesota for $8 million.
Right.
Yeah.
How can, that was,
But Hawk, you're stunned that LeMahieu didn't get better offers from Dave. Are you surprised nobody else gave him a better
No,
offer?
of course, Springer got big money. What Springer got? 150?
Springer
For Toronto, right?
signed today 6 for 150. That's 25 a year.
Really?
But again, I know Springer's a slugger, but how many great leadoff guys do you have in baseball now? It's so few. And LeMahieu, he's just a complete package. Great leader, great person. Wish I had him.
So what did LeMay? Did he say he was satisfied with?
Oh
the-
yeah, he and it's like we were saying the last couple of weeks. I think pretty much what he said was, look, the Yankees said, you go find whatever deal you got, then come back and see us, and if you give us the last shot, chances are we'll pay it.
Now, J.A. Happ, okay, and I take no credence into 2020 whatsoever. And did you hear me once say the National League batting crown went to Juan Soto, the Washington Nationals? for better, for worse, it was kind of almost like exhibition. I'm glad they did the 60-game schedule to occupy my little brain. But now, J.A. Happ last year had a 3.47 ERA with a whip of 1.05. He had a really nice year with the Yankees.
But he started awful. His first 5, 6, 7 games, or 1 or 2 innings, and he stunk.
Then he must have been great the last half of the
He was.
season.
He got better.
Yeah.
He got better, but the thing that with him, there was a lot of bad blood between him and the Yankees.
Okay.
Because what had happened was he had a vesting option for $17 million that he needed to pitch 190 innings or whatever it was. And when you prorated it into the 60-game season, he needed to pitch 61 innings.
He did 49.
And he did 49.
Yeah.
And they had skipped him on a couple of starts, and he felt like they manipulated that so that they didn't have to pay him the $17 million.
So he
Who
signed
did he sign with?
with the Twinkies,
Twins.
which is a good team, for $8 million, which I thought was,
Probably got some incentives on that too, I
Yeah.
bet.
yeah.
Boy, meanwhile, the Red Sox just making, a move a day, hard to keep up with
Well,
all
I'll
they've
tell you
done.
what, they made a small
They did, but
move.
they did re-up their pitcher who had left, and they got him back for cheaper money.
Martin Perez, who will be a solid number 5
Yeah.
guy, 1 year, $4.5 million.
So they saved some money. 'cause
With a
they-
club
yeah.
option of $6 million for 2022.
Club option.
Now,
Yeah, that's a good signing.
yeah, and I told you, he ended the season with a 4.50 ERA.
Huh.
But going into this last game of the season, he was like at 3.87,
He got
which is
killed
good.
in the last
And he
game.
got absolutely destroyed. And he was their best pitcher for the whole season. I
Yeah,
thought
that's
that
a
was a
good
great
signing.
signing.
Well, I thought the big news for the Red Sox is that Pedroia is all done.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
There was a-
Mercifully, as he finally conceded.
What they're going to do with Pedroia is basically what the Mets did with David Wright,
Huh.
because he can't play. But if
But
he
can get all his-
quits, then they don't get the insurance on $11 million they still owe him. So they're trying to work out a deal with the insurance company where maybe he gets $8 million or something like that. And
Yeah, I think his contract too was only 12 and a half a year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he's got 1 year
So
or
left.
he
11,
fin-
I
he-
think it was 11.
11?
For this,
So
yeah.
he finally conceded in defeat.
Yeah.
I can't believe in today's world that they couldn't have fixed his knee. You'd think
Yeah.
with all the stuff they can do, because that guy, he must have had a lot of knee issues before, I think.
Well, just think of how he played too.
So Duke, I was coming on the show tonight to give you one of my Nighthawk predictions that Michael Brantley will be the new left fielder for the Sox in 2021.
I don't think so.
I think it'll be Andrew Benintendi.
Well,
Mr.
Hazel
not
May,
new,
did
but-
she used to work for the Red Sox? Hazel May.
Hazel May, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I
can
think she
remember
works
her.
up in Toronto now, I'm not sure.
Don't
Or-
know, but yeah, she's
But she
former-
She doesn't work
Reported-
for baseball or
She
MLB.
might, she might, but she reported after George Springer that he's got a 3-year contract agreed upon
With Toronto.
with Toronto. And I said, wow, the Blue Jays, that's big time stuff. About an hour later, the Blue Jays denied that this is happening. So later this afternoon, Brantley signs 2 years, $32 million. Is it back with Houston, David?
Okay.
I think it was back with Houston.
so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was done.
Sorry, you
Well-
said Hazel May reported that he was signing with Toronto?
Yeah.
I'd read New York
3-year
Post. He was going to Toronto.
Yeah, and I thought Brantley was going to be a perfect fit, and I told you last week Benintendi would be gone by the time we met up again this week, and they may, unless they hustle, they may be forced to be playing him again.
I think Benintendi, yeah. And of course Jackie Bradley Jr. still. Some folks think
Oh,
he'll
the
still end
rumors
up
I
back with the
heard,
Red
nothing
Sox.
lately. A couple weeks ago, either with Houston or the New York Mets. So I don't know.
Some talk with the Mets. I heard that too.
Yeah. Now,
Speaking of the Mets, Mr. Jared Porter didn't last too long.
No, not today's world. Once that comes
And
out,
this is something from a few years ago, right?
yeah. When you're sending pictures, naked pictures of yourself to
It wasn't
reporters.
himself. It was stock footage
No, it wasn't even
of
himself.
a much bigger man.
Yeah, it's still.
But can I tell you guys something? Okay, it was 62 sexually motivated tweets to a reporter. She was a South Korean girl, and she's hence gone back to South Korea. People ask, well, why is she coming out now? Well, she was trying to make a name for herself in America. Didn't work out. But now she's come out about Jared Porter, who called the head of the Mets, Sandy Alderson, 5:30 in the afternoon. Just want to let you know, ESPN's coming out with a story about me. And by 11 o'clock that night, Sandy called Uncle Steve Cohen. And
And Steve Cohen's had a little bit of issues with that in his hedge fund, sexual harassment and
well,
all
let me
that.
ask you guys a question.
Remember our old buddy Brett Favre?
Yes.
He did the same thing to that reporter from the who was covering the Jets.
Yeah. Now that you
Except he
mention-
wasn't using stock footage. I think he said.
Yeah. Okay. My only thing is, why are people so stupid to do that where it's recorded? It's there for public record.
All I can say is thank God. Thank God. Thank your lucky stars that all of us were all young and stupid before everything got put on one of these cell phones. Can
Yeah,
you
right.
imagine? Can you imagine all the dumb things you've done?
Yeah.
All recorded for
In
posterity?
fact, that makes me, the Wall Street Journal had a great story, a kind of a sad story just a few weeks ago. Front page story about I think a young woman going off to college or hoping to, living I think in Nashville. And at her high school, I think she was a great swimmer, gymnast or something, great athlete, very much loved. But in like her freshman year at high school, she had done some tweet or something and used the N-word. Apparently
Yep.
maybe one time, and she had, forgotten about this, whatever. But I guess a black roommate at the time kept at her, just kind of squirreled this away. So guess what? She gets to be a senior. I mean, everybody loves her. Wicked popular, smart, great athlete, and everybody, really likes this lady. She enrolls or is accepted at University of Tennessee in Knoxville. So this guy from her past, her former classmate, then publicizes this thing, and of course it goes viral, and she gets, I think she had a scholarship. UT throws her out, and the story had her, just devastated by this, going to like community college or something. But just one, it's funny, I mentioned that to Ian. I said, Ian, I mentioned that story to my kid, and I said, hey, everybody does stupid things, but boy, really try not to do anything too stupid. You see in the climate today, one mistake might get you.
Oh, it's awful.
Oh, don't you love living in this woke?
No, I don't.
Isn't it just, we're all human. We say things. It's just like,
I was having a chat with one of my people at work. I said, I caught quite a bit of ribbing as a kid growing up for having a big nose. And my stock answer after a few years was that I get more air. And you know what? And when we grew up, everybody's physical traits turned into something that somebody would call you a name, and you either you took it, or if you didn't like the guy, you got in a fight with him and you punched it out, and then it was all over.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, you lived with it. And today, I think we're not, by vilifying everything and every name, we're turning ourselves into such wimps.
I was
It's
talking
awful.
to
For
young,
social media, and I don't deal with social media. I get freaked out enough by
Oh, I don't
regular
either, thank
media.
God.
I mean, social media would just so totally blow my mind, I'm sure.
I was talking to a young person today about his work. Well, I'm not working there anymore. Well, why not? I was being harassed. Okay. Well, I mean,
Being
that's part
harassed.
of work is giving the roots. Some people may not take, but that's the fun of work. Is you're given. What about in the golf course? Come on.
come
I mean,
on.
that's the best part. Is it's one thing to give them a high five on a 20-foot putt. But when they miss a 3-footer,
Oh,
don't
you let them
love
have.
to
Nobody's
just
nobody's a worse winner than I am.
Yeah.
And you just let them have it.
I'm going to tell you one of the best line I ever heard. Now, Duke has, in the last couple of years, improved on his putting. Duke's a very good golfer, but putting's never been his forte. About 10 years ago, I can tell you the whole, dogleg 4, number 4. Duke had a 4-foot putt, and Duke talks to himself a lot.
Oh, God, 4-foot, but let me guess, I missed it. I
And-
4 putted or something.
No. It was an 8-foot putt. This is the funny part. It was an 8-foot putt, and again, he talks to himself, and our buddy Joe Whittemore says, "Hey, Duke, it could be worse. It could be a 4-foot putt."
That's a great comment.
And we still talk about it every year. And that was because Duke would have some issues with it. And I say that respectfully because he is a very good golfer.
And even worse would be a 2 or 3-foot putt.
Oh, well, I watched last night with my 19-year-old son who's in ROTC. He's been doing some training. Full Metal Jacket.
Good movie.
Oh, boy.
Matthew
Tough
Modine.
movie.
Tough movie. And Gunnery Sergeant Emery
Yep.
was about as rough and tough as you could get.
That was ad lib too.
And
Yeah.
and I was asking Sam, I said, now you've had some training. Is it like that now? And he goes, no.
Well, something
No.
tells me it's not.
No. And I said, and you know when they're marching and they're doing the songs, he goes, they've sanitized all the lyrics. He says it's really, of course, maybe Marines are a little bit tougher,
And
but
of course, there's some women mixed in too these days.
yeah,
or-
it's,
Yeah, I bet it's sanitized.
you know, it's too bad. It's too bad. And I think for the most part, it's hard to draw the line because I can understand women being harassed at work. We get a lot of, I have to do videos almost every quarter with General Motors on harassment.
Right, really.
And there's different ways of harassment. You've got sexual harassment, but you also have stuff like we've got one of our few guys is actually a very solid Democrat.
Really?
And
You hired a Democrat? I'm
oh,
impressed.
we hire everybody. We don't care. And so we used to. I come in every morning and I'm shooting a breeze with them, and maybe that I'm thinking to myself now. You know what? Maybe he's uncomfortable. You don't really need to push the envelope. But with today's world, you really got to keep your nose clean.
Hey, we got a call.
Good
Hey,
evening.
Fred.
You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Gentlemen,
Hi, Len.
I'm late to the party, but I did catch the beginning of your show, and I think it's Colin Cowherd, ESPN, that says that they ought to postpone the Kansas City game until Mahomes is healthy, and that's like saying
absurd.
that
It's
the New York
ridiculous.
Giants should postpone their season until next year until Saquon is healed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Leonard, for the
That's
record,
one of the most asinine things
I agree.
I've ever heard. But here's a pretty good trivia question.
Love trivia.
I'm not a big college basketball aficionado, but as of a few days ago anyway, I don't know if it's still the case, but there's something that is amidst us right now in college basketball that has not occurred since 1961.
Guess what it is? I'm sure you're not going to talk about my two schools, Leonard, or anything, right?
Well, you
Is
got
it Duke and
two-thirds of it
UNC
right.
aren't in the top
Duke,
20?
UNC, and Kentucky, none are in the top 25.
Really?
Right. First time since 1961.
That's funny because I heard that storyline, but I didn't hear the year.
Wow.
So thank you for the info. That's unreal.
Yeah, I'm not a college basketball fan, a big one, but I'm a sports fan, and that was pretty relevant. I mean, that's a big deal.
Boy, I'm just not in. Duke was playing Pitt last night, Pittsburgh, and I was paying a little attention, but Shark Tank was getting more attention from me than the game. Duke was down late, and I assumed they they lost, but, yeah, that is noteworthy. Leonard, one correct.
What, man, pray tell, what is going on?
I can just speak pretty much for Duke. I'm sure they have their usual, a few McDonald's All-Americans, but as Nighthawk, who will rejoin us momentarily, they tend to lose their best players to the pros after 1 year. Young team. I think Coach K wasn't even really that psyched to play the season with the coronavirus backdrop, but not much I can tell you. I've never been less into the Duke Hoopsters in decades, so nothing much I can tell you. But hey, all streaks come to an end. Leonard, one correction. Colin Coward jumped ship from ESPN years ago. He's Fox, for the record. And I like Colin.
Okay.
I like
thought
Colin.
that was the
He's
name
Fox.
I heard who threw that out there.
Well, he might have thrown it out there. He's a Fox guy these days.
Okay, well, I lose.
But that's I agree. That's insane. Postpone. Give me a break. That's
that's
insane.
just ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
That's just ludicrous. And I think Mahomes, maybe he's taking snaps, but there's no guarantee he's going to play Sunday.
Well, tell Nighthawk. Nighthawk, you going to give us
Oh,
a guarantee?
Yeah.
He's playing, Len.
Oh, he's playing. He's the number one player in the NFL. There's no way that.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs.
But I'm not sure it's not
the
his
concussion
fault.
protocol, people.
Yeah, it's
and
not his fault.
if they find him deficient, they won't let him play.
It's not like it's his
I
decision.
think they would look the other way to
Oh my God! Conspiracy theories. You don't want to let me go there.
Listen.
You're almost opening up a can of worms, Brian. In deference to the host of the show, I have got so much ammunition, I could win like 5 wars in the medieval time.
As long as
But
it's
I'm not
got
going
nothing to do with politics.
No, I'm just telling you. I mean, I've never had more ammo, but I'm withholding. Yeah. I'm withholding.
Leonard.
Anyway.
This spring.
But you're saying that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to rule on this?
I'm sure they're in concert with the NFL, but the benefit of the doubt, they want to brand their product, and it's Pat Mahomes, not Chad Henne.
I'm sure they want to do that, but injuries happen. Stuff happens.
Help to their quarterback.
Yeah. Well, he took the full complement of reps today, so
He's probably okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Leonard,
Len, with all deference,
you're an old dog.
No, we're speculating. We're all speculating.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. We are. But remember back in the day, the guy got his bell rung. Okay.
I guess he did.
Right.
they'd have put him back out in a second.
Absolutely,
about
they
10
would've.
minutes later.
Yep, absolutely. So, Leonard, question for you.
Yes, sir.
Baseball season starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is it Atlanta or
The
Braves
are still the team to beat.
Still okay. That was my question.
Do we know, speaking of the start of baseball
and that's
season?
not coming from me. That's coming from everything that I read, which means nothing. But I'm just saying, I mean, they're starting pitching with Soroka back and what they've done to fill in the back end. Their bullpen is pretty good. All they really need is another bat to protect Freeman, and they'll come up with. I mean, they're notorious for signing somebody for a year, and knock on wood, they've had 2 successful years of doing that with Donaldson and
Ozuna.
What's his name?
Marcell Ozuna.
Right, Ozuna. I mean, they got lucky. I mean, those 2 guys had career years, and they only signed them for a year.
Yeah.
So they will pick up a bat to protect Freeman, and if they do, all the experts say they're still the team to beat. They're got great young talent.
Leonard, is there? I haven't heard hardly anything on Ozuna.
No, I haven't. Again, it's all about the DH. I mean, Manfred seems to indicate the DH in the National League is dead. But is it really dead? Do we know that?
There is no definitive answer. That and we ponder that every week as it's late January now. And how are you a general manager not knowing do we have a DH or not?
Right.
Because Ozuna
that's all. That's what's really stopping
Yes.
Ozuna from being signed.
Yes.
I mean, people want a definitive on that.
Yep.
I mean,
Now-
before I don't see the Braves signing Ozuna for 3 years and big money. I just don't see it. I think they're going to try to pick up somebody for a year. They'll give him probably 15 to 18 million. There's a few still out there,
Well,
and
Eddie
that's
Rose-
how they're going to go about this because they still got to sign Freeman.
Yeah.
They got to extend him eventually here. He's somebody. Obviously, he's the face of Atlanta, and you can't let him go.
Another very good player, outfielder from the Twin Keys, Eddie Rosario. Really good. Haven't heard anything about him. So, Leonard, the Washington Nationals, they picked up 2 sluggers where 2019 they hit 75 home runs combined. They signed John Lester yesterday to be their number 4 guy. Do you think that puts them back into the fray?
Oh, absolutely. I think the National League East, even counting the Marlins, is one of the better divisions in baseball. The Mets obviously have helped themselves tremendously. I think it's. I don't know if there's really a more competitive division
Yeah, I agree.
in baseball right now than the National League East.
Yeah.
Hawk, are you happy with the Lester signing?
I'm open to suggestions otherwise,
Yeah.
but there's some pretty good teams there. I mean, and they're very competitive. But I still think the bookmakers in Vegas still rank the Braves as the likeliest winner, which means nothing.
The John
That's all we've
Lester's.
got to go by. But I don't see the Braves signing anybody big for 3 years to bat behind Freeman. They're going to go after some type of stopgap measure again, try to find somebody that catches fire for a year. But I would change my tune if the DH was a sure thing this year and going forward. I think they would consider re-signing Ozuna because he's great chemistry in the clubhouse and he loves playing for Atlanta.
Yeah. Now, I can honestly tell you that the Washington Nationals are the worst defensive team in the National League. And, the DH, Josh Bell, is the guy they picked up from Pittsburgh. He's an animal. He'll hit 35 home runs, but he's horrible at first base. He would be the poster child for the DH.
Yeah, I don't care. As you well know, I mean, pitching and defense, I think trumps hitting.
Yep, I agree.
I really do. I just think it always has. And, a couple of great Dodgers, Don Sutton and Tom Lasorda, obviously left us here recently. And, Sutton certainly was a pro's pro. And Lasorda was just, I consider him the 4th member of the Rat Pack. I mean, he's the My Pillow guy of baseball. The guy was a salesman.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta like Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
He's just.
Yeah. Now, Don.
You just gotta like the guy. I mean, he's the ultimate cheerleader. I mean, and I don't know if you saw any film of him. They put his casket on the mound at Dodger Stadium yesterday.
Really?
Did you see that?
I did.
I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, no, it was very well done, and they had some people speak, and I mean, he was the consummate cheerleader for the Dodgers, and he did that franchise very, very well, obviously over the years. And I'll remember Chris Mortensen when I was with the Messenger. I used to go down to West Palm and when the Braves and Expos trained down there. I go every
forget
year.
West Palm Beach
I went to
Municipal
Vero
Stadium.
Beach, and Chris Mortensen, who's the football writer now, and he was a beat writer for one of the local papers in the LA area. He says, don't even ask. He was some guy who talked to me. I'm a small media guy, but he was very nice to me. Mortensen talked to me, and that's a long time ago. That's 50 years ago, almost. And he says, you don't ask Lasorda. You're not going to get any really answers. He's going to feed you a lot of BS. That's all. And that's what kind of made him kind of special. He was kind of like P.T. Barnum of baseball.
Yeah.
So and I guess the latest on high school sports. the outdoor sports like skiing and the like are a go, and hockey, they can practice. There's minimal contact, but wear masks. And I'm predicting right here and right now that I don't think this nation is back really to where you want it to be until the summer of 2022.
Summer of
That's my
2022? Wow.
You know, I probably would tend to agree with you, Leonard.
Oh, Leonard, I think now that we've got a new leader, it's going to be all better in a couple of months. Everything will be all rosy. They just opened up the restaurants in Chicago. Nobody will even notice
This
it.
pizza restaurant?
No, any kind of restaurants. Restaurants have been closed in Chicago since it started, but
Well, they probably aren't at full capacity.
well, they've been closed. And why all of a
Well,
sudden
but you
they're
can
just
go to
opening them up?
restaurants in Vermont, right?
And
50%.
Cuomo's going to
Yes,
open
you
up the
can.
restaurants in New York.
Yeah, I don't see restaurants, at 50%. I have no issue with that.
I don't think they're. I think if the truth were known, at restaurants, places of work, people aren't getting COVID. It's when they all get together and they have the big parties, and it's hard to keep 20-year-olds from getting together and having they can't stay alone and stay at home with their mom and dad the whole time.
The thing that scares me about the young people is those who get it, test positive, and they get over it quickly. But what I've been reading is there's a lot of residual effect from this disease. And I wouldn't want to be any age get it.
Hey, not if you can help it. No.
Yeah, you don't want to get
Right.
it.
I mean, and the jury's out on especially young people who've contracted it, is how it will affect them down the road, because and it obviously seems to be that African Americans and Hispanics and people with certain health conditions are more prone to get it. I myself, I may get it tomorrow. I don't know. I can't even remember the last time I got the flu. I don't think I've had the flu in
2-minute
50
warning.
years.
Yeah. So, Len, we have to go. I was just given the
Oh, you're
2-minute
coming
warning.
up on 8, yeah.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, I may get COVID tomorrow.
Yeah.
But,
Well, we hope not.
Yeah.
Stay healthy.
Anyway,
Stay healthy.
as I said, we're going forward, and that's always a good sign.
Okay. Thanks, Len.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Leonard,
See you
take
later.
care. Thanks for calling.
Quickly, John Lester, 1 year, $5 million.
Boy.
His ERA last year was 5.15. 6 starts, he had 0 or 1 run given. The other 6 not good. He had 2 games against the Chicago White Sox, absolutely blasted with them. Take those 2 out, his ERA was 3.35. $5 million is chump change.
Did the
No
Red-
pressure being the number 4 guy.
Did the
And
Red Sox, out of curiosity,
they
have
are
any
due.
interest?
I asked that myself. Is like, why not the Red Sox?
Who knows? God, I would have done that in a
Yeah,
second.
if Perez is your number 4-5 guy, Lester would have been a good number 4
You
guy.
got to remember the Red Sox now. Their
Chris Sale,
management
don't
team
count
comes
on
from-
Chris Sale for a while.
Their
either.
management team comes from Tampa. They're going to work in a different way.
No, for sure.
Yeah, the word on
Already are.
Sale is they're going to be extraordinarily cautious with him. Basically, what they're saying is, hey, we have no chance to make the playoffs
Right,
this
they're
year.
not making the playoffs this
Right,
year.
so that's it. Boy, I had so many more
Boy, we
topics.
zoomed right through.
Yeah,
Hey,
that-
Celtics will come back to you next week,
Celtics,
maybe.
Canadians are playing absolutely
Wow.
unbelievable.
Good start.
Great backup goaltender, Jake Allen. 1 goal the other night with 2 minutes left, gave up the goal. So that's it for Richie Cunningham, Super Dave, the Duke, and the Nighthawk. And until next week, everyone, remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for
Ciao.
now.
See ya.
So Canadian.